meeting to order at 5 o'clock. Can I get someone to make the motion to review and accept the agenda, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Becky moved, and I think Jessica seconded.
Yeah, this is.
Okay. All right, do we have anything else we need to add or change?
No, I will be asking for an executive session.
Okay, we will be having, and, yeah, okay. So all those in favor of the agenda, please signify by saying aye or just waving at me, because you're all on there and I'm here by myself. Okay, thank you. Communications with parents, citizens, and staff. Is there anybody who would like to talk to the board for any reason other than something on the agenda that you're affiliated with? Well, guess not. Okay, moving forward. Consent agenda. Can I get someone to make a motion, please?
So moved.
Okay, Becky's making the motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Jacob is seconding. All right, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye or waving at me. Okay, do you agree with the consent agenda?
Aye.
Awesome. Okay, that consent agenda passes unanimously.
Unfortunately, Brenda's not here.
Okay, so we're gonna go on to communication and support to the board. Did you want to give your superintendent's report? Is there anything in there that we didn't?
Sure, I think that you all have seen the superintendent reports. I did not write one specific to this meeting, but at this meeting, you will be asked, you just did, actually, approve the adult lunch rate increase, and I had put an explanation of that in, I think, Barstow superintendent report. So thank you for that. And also to let you know, we're trying to get feedback on the ARP ESSER recovery plan update, and Kristen Hubert is going to offer a virtual public meeting for anybody who's interested, I think December 6th, Kristen? Yeah, December 6th. So we're going to get word out about that, but that's, no, not the 6th?
Tuesday, November 30th.
Well, yeah, that's almost that. Okay, Tuesday, November 30th. That's it.
Any questions for Jean? Okay. We're going to look at our monitoring report, 2.2 treatment of staff. It should be in your packet. It is something from Jean with, all of her treatment of staff, making sure that she's complying. I didn't see anything. We just need to accept it unless someone would like to talk about it, but we should start with a motion, please. Someone want to make a motion to accept the monitoring report 2.2?
Sure.
Barbara, okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Becky seconding. Any discussion regarding treatment of staff monitoring report as prepared by Jean and in your packet? Is there anything that glaringly came out at you that we need to change or fix in the policy itself?
It's the same report that both of your boards have already
Yeah.
seen?
I know, I'm just trying to make it longer.
Yeah, I'm just helping you with it's fine.
Okay, so not hearing anything, so all those in favor of the monitoring report 2.2 treatment of staff, please signify by saying aye or waving at me. Okay, approved unanimously. I'm going to skip the board monitoring report for now. We may bring that back to another meeting. So we're going to move on to governance process. Policies for action, we have a second reading in policy IGBAA, special education excess costs and related services for non-resident and tuition students. That's to be rescinded. We'll take these separately. Does someone want to make a motion to rescind that policy? I feel like I'm pulling teeth tonight.
So moved.
Thank you, Jacob. Anyone want to second it?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any discussion regarding this? We've seen it once before. We are being asked to rescind it. It has gone to both boards and is coming back. And this is being rescinded because the lawyer said we didn't need it, it's part of,
Yeah, in
law,
this
correct?
particular case, it's part of the law, and she would rather we not have it and try to interpret law through policy.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of rescinding IGBAA, special ed excess costs and related services for non-resident and tuition students, please signify by saying aye or waving at me. Okay, thank you, it is rescinded. Our second policy, which is a new policy to be adopted, is policy DSE, special education policy.
Which is the opposite situation.
Yep, so can someone make a motion to accept that policy, please?
I'll move, we accept that policy.
Thank you, Brenda. Someone want a second? Barbara, will you second
Jessica?
it? Oh, Jessica, okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, do you want to talk about this? It is our second reading, but,
Yeah, again, this is the opposite reason. This also, everything in this policy is in law, but despite that, it is, the Agency of Education has told us it's a mandated policy, and Marcia needs to have it in place when they come and audit us later this spring. So even though I don't recommend it, please pass it.
okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those that approve policy DSE, special education policy, please signify by saying aye or thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Barbara? Aye. Perfect. Okay, it passes. Thank you. Okay, we are
get us
going to
started.
move on to our fiscal year 23 budget. It's our first draft. We usually have to have this approved in December. Do they have it online?
Nope, I'm gonna walk you
Okay.
through it.
All right.
So Brenda will be joining us any minute. She was on her way back from Rutland and got hung up in traffic in Pittsburgh, she said. So I will get us started, but I want to see my own notes. So you're going to get not the presentation view, you're going to get the note view. So to start out simply, the RNESU budget proposal is this year is a 3.03% increase. This is your first opportunity to see the budget. You don't act on it tonight. This is a chance for you to get the information. There will be a handout that I'll email to those of you who are online that will be posted on the web tomorrow as well for anybody watching the meeting. That gives you the data behind this. But this is what we're bringing forward at this point. We'll have discussion. We may tweak it before the next meeting, and hopefully you would approve it at your December meeting. So don't feel stressed that this is the first time you're seeing the information. It's on purpose. So last year, the RNESU increase was 3.21%. This year, it's 3.03%. We are 6 years out of the merger. We have exercised all efficiencies. We have aligned our budgets to the ends. And I just want to remind you that the central office exists solely to support the ends that are identified by the sending school districts and to meet compliance. So in other words, you have to have, by law, a superintendent. You have to have a special education director. You have to have a business office, for example. You are providing transportation. You are providing food service. Instead of doing that in each one of the 6 schools and repeating that office 6 times throughout the district, our SU office serves that purpose for everyone across the district and then bills the 2 districts based upon their student population. So that is what we exist for. So that is why you are the approving board for this budget, and then that assessment for this budget gets built into the 2 sending district budgets. Just a reminder of what leads to our budget decisions is we start by looking at the ends policies. In this case, we look, I'll show you RNESU tells us what I just told you, but we also look at the Otter Valley ends policy and the Barstow ends policy. Our goals, which are ways to meet the ends, we in this district since the merger have really focused on equity of opportunity for our students and efficiency in delivering our services. Your ends policy says that RNESU exists so that Barstow Unified and Otter Valley Unified have leadership and infrastructure resources needed to achieve their respective global ends at a cost determined by the districts. This budget, along with federal funds that are managed by the SU, help support our SU goals. And this is just a reminder of, these have been in place now for 4 years, and they're intended to be long-term goals. We don't want to keep changing them every year and jump on the next wave that comes through. And in fact, as it turns out, that first goal, systematic academic and emotional interventions and supports, is strongly what our recovery plan, our COVID recovery plan, is all about: social emotional learning, academic interventions. And then we continue to focus on the instructional practices, supporting our teachers to have what they need to be able to meet the needs of all students. And we continue to focus on literacy, particularly early literacy. This budget includes special education, pre-kindergarten to 12th grade, transportation, administrative infrastructure such as the board, you are part of this budget, curriculum, fiscal services including facilities, I'm sorry, technology and superintendent. And this is our organizational chart that shows who reports to whom in central office, and you can see what central office consists of. As you can see, no particular department or director in central office has it easy. It's a very complex system. We're a $30 million business, and I think this shows it. So this first slide really is intended to show you the kinds of federal funds that pass through that are not part of the budget, but that you oversee, that the RNESU budget oversees and employs, even though it's not local tax dollars. So the Consolidated Federal Program Grants, which are the federal grants, what used to be known as Title I but has expanded, these are those grants. And as you can see, Title I is anticipated to go down next year by $49,000. Title IIA is expected to go down next year by $23,000, and Title IV down by $2,000. We also are getting between last June and June of 2024, we are getting COVID monies. That's what all those different symbols are about: ARP, ESSER 2 and 3, should be 3, IDEAB, pre-K, homeless. All of that comes to $7,292,000 infusion into our system, which sounds really wonderful, and we will talk about how we're using it. But it's also important to realize that it goes away. Those are not intended to repeat. Our medical administration claims, which is where we are allowed to bill through our special education process for particular services that the government has deemed Medicaid eligible. Marcia and her support staff, Beth, do a fabulous job of capturing funds for this district, even through COVID. And so we get approximately $303,863. And then there are some purchase services passed through. For example, our facilities director is billed out to each district, so that's like a pass-through. So you employ him. Our academic interventionists, our transportation system, and even our special education program, those are purchase services that are based in RNESU, and you employ those people, but we bill back to the schools, districts who funnel back into here. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, sorry.
No problem. I'll let you kick in when you're ready. So the total proposed budget, the difference is $327,501. And I have to tell you that I am really impressed with the magic that got us to that number. And I'm going to have Brenda walk through it as soon as she's ready. This is a 3.03% change over last year's budget.
Without any change to services.
We're going to talk about changes to services, but yes, without any drastic reductions in services, only strategic cuts that Marcia in particular is exceptionally skilled at adapting to the needs of the students that we have. So she'll cut a position here and add a position here, and we'll walk you through all of that. We cannot answer what the assessments are quite yet. So I'm going to have Brenda, and you're welcome to use mine.
Yeah, so I can read it.
Do you want notes open, or you
Nope,
have it?
I know it.
So I'm going to switch you to presentation view. I was using some notes.
Okay. Ooh, how come it's not all on the screen anymore?
Don't worry about it, it's on the screen.
Okay.
Do you guys, yeah, see, I don't know, do you guys see it, the whole thing?
Mostly, it's cutting off a couple of those.
Well, we'll walk you through it.
Budget, summary, notes, and changes.
Okay,
on
we'll,
full screen.
we'll walk you through it, and you're gonna get a copy of the whole presentation as well.
Right.
Unless you'd like me to go back to the presentation view, maybe I'll just do that.
Escape?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
And then we can just, if you move this down, that'll make it a little bit bigger. There, how's
There we
that?
go. There we go.
Okay, we'll go that way.
All right, so just to let you know what the changes were, and as Lori alluded and Jean explained, there are no significant changes to programs, maybe some tweaks and some reallocations. So we'll start with the special education, including Triple E program, which is essential early education. So what we've done here is we have, and we talked about this last year, but decided not to. And again, this year it was reaffirmed that we really need a pre-K and a Triple E coordinator, a combined position. So we are reallocating an administrative position, which was the out-of-district coordinator position, into a Triple E coordinator. That will be shared to provide Triple E services and oversee Triple E staff, but also, and more importantly, provide the necessary support to the pre-K programs, including all of the childcare regulations and licensing that's required because it is a preschool. And it has to meet both school and childcare licensing. We've also reduced the high school special education coordinator position to a 50% position as we're transitioning to add more support to the high school through an assistant or associate principal. And so that transition moved 50% of her position out of the special education budget, and it will be funded with ESSER funds through 2024. I almost said 14. Step backwards, 2024.
Small numbers.
With these changes, we are proposing adding a special education teacher that will focus on social emotional learning at Otter Creek Academy in Leicester. Kind of budget to budget, we have reallocated 2 para positions that were open at Lothrop that we had difficulties filling into a teacher position. It was an even swap in regards to money, but a big increase to services. We will be eliminating a special education run to Burlington based on the students' needs, which will save about $57,000. And as always, we update our out-of-district placements to the students that we currently today have. We currently have 9 in out-of-district placements, which is a third or 3 more than we had at this time last year. So over the year, 3 students have moved in. And so we put it at the current rate, and we increase it by about 5 to 10% if they haven't notified us yet, which none of them have. So we are seeing a rise in that line of about $150,000, and we spend about $555,000 for those 9 students. Technology. So as you know, we had invested a lot of funds in technology because we had to. So when we pivoted and went to remote learning, we had to make sure students had equipment, that equipment needed to be data ready, and we also needed to make sure that staff had equipment because many of our staff might have had desktops and they were not obviously portable. So with that investment comes annual maintenance and increases as well. And so we are proposing an increase of $63,000 to technology services. Almost half of that, or $30,000, is going to be a cost shift from the member budgets into technology. And the purpose of this is we recognize that it's important to deploy technology services at a centralized level so that we know that it meets our security protocols, it can be supported on our system, it can be supported with our staff, and we have a general sort of one concentration for renewals and everything. But we also recognize that the schools might have programs, preferences, or software applications that are important and applicable just to them. And so this gives them the ability to have discretionary funds. They'll each have their own sort of little bank of discretionary funds to be able to use for what they value and what they need for their schools. And so that's just a cost shift. It will be a reduction from the OVU and BU budgets. We've also increased $15,000 to adjust our intern. We've been fortunate to get good interns who sometimes become employees, like our tech person here today. And we've recognized that we have not adjusted the rate of pay for interns for about 5 years. And so with the market such that it is, the fact that it's already perhaps a 5-year-old rate of pay, we are recommending adjusting the rate of pay to be more market ready. And we are also increasing the number of hours so that we can have on average about 20 hours a week of an intern time. We've been very successful and fortunate that this is often somebody who is currently employed, or not employed, attending Castleton University. Software increases. So along with the new investment in technology hardware, we ended up purchasing additional softwares. And so, and the software market is rising to about 10 to 20% per year annual subscription increase. So we will be increasing based on what we are estimating the software increases will be about $18,200. I want to just give you a heads up that with ESSER funds, any software that we purchased that was to support remote learning, we are paying for with ESSER funds. But it is very likely that will become mainstay after ESSER goes away. So I wanted to give you a heads up that in today's dollars, it's about $40,000 that's being used for ESSER. It's being paid for with ESSER funds to support the additional software applications that we initially needed and are using actively to provide instruction, but initially needed for remote learning. And then just the other thing is kind of an FYI. We have planned, in this budget, 2023 will be the first year. Last year we planned a little differently, to purchase hardware that is kind of a step down. So right this year, 2022, we purchased hardware on our recycle schedule, on our replacement schedule, that was data ready and had additional features for the flexibility of remote learning. Next year, we are hoping and anticipating that that won't be necessary, so we will be kind of stepping down to what we used to have. I bring this to your attention because it will be felt, and people will notice that it has different capabilities, it may be a little bit slower, may not have as much as they have been used to. And I'm thinking that somebody like Lori might say, well, Brenda, what would the cost be if we didn't do that step down?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And it would be $75,000. So it is significant, but I did think it was important for you to know that.
And I added this one, so I'll jump in.
Yes, you did.
Look, Brenda's like, where'd that come from?
Thinking I didn't say anything about that.
No, but I am asking the board to consider a change of the title of the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment to an Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. This would not be a new position, or, I mean, it would not be, we would not be hiring somebody new. It would be a title change with some additional responsibilities and therefore a salary increase. And I believe that it is, I am recommending it because there is nothing more important in what we do than curriculum and instruction. But In addition to that, it is evident to me that the need to have that next tier of support for the superintendent's office, a bench, so to speak, in order to keep stability within the district is highly recommended. So we can discuss that one as well. Oh, yeah, that's it, you
Okay.
got it.
So transportation, so you may or may not know, because I can't remember if I've told you, but Stephen Eaton, our elementary facility manager, has told us that he will retire next August. And we knew this was coming, and we've been working with the transition of moving Rich Vigu to a transportation and facility manager. And we've hired, through the OV budget, through attrition, we've hired a head custodian to help support that transition. So in talking to Rich about how do we do this and make this still a manageable position, he explained to me how he worked with an administrative assistant when he held this job in Maine previously. And so we are recommending that we reallocate the facility manager position to a administrative assistant to help support both transportation, wrong T, and facilities.
So I just want to clarify something you just said. So Rich is currently doing OV facilities and transportation. Stephen is doing elementary facilities. Rich would move into full district facilities and transportation. We would not replace Steve's level. Rich would move into that, but we would instead bring in a high-level administrative assistant to particularly support transportation, but also just to support him as facilities manager. So in a sense, he'd have a head custodian at the high school, and it's almost like a head transportation administrative assistant to support him. So it's a change in model.
Right. And that change in model results in a savings of about $30,000. We are recommending that we replace 3 buses. There are 3 buses that are actually coming off of schedule, and it keeps us on our 10-year sort of cycle per bus. With the cost of everything, of course, the buses that are coming off of lease are about $7,000. All 3 of them are about $7,000 less than what I'm estimating the cost of putting the new buses on. I will caution that we ordered the buses right away last year in May, and they were going into production in this January. So our prices were quoted in May, and they matched our budget. Obviously, we haven't built this out, so I am hopeful that the number that we have estimated will be enough for the 3 new buses. But if it isn't, I'll come back to this board to have a conversation after we go through a bid process. The next 2 lines were actually good news. Fuel. If anyone has a crystal ball on this, I'd love it. We kind of calculated at today's market, and we were about $7,000 less than what the budget was. And because fuel has been so volatile in its prices, we are recommending that it just be level funded. It was too small to take a risk in our minds. But the next one, bus repairs and maintenance, with sticking with the 10-year replacement cycle, we are seeing this start to kind of level off. And so we recommended looking at what the average cost was over the last 3 years and increasing it by about 15%, because we are seeing the cost of prices, supply chain issue, and service or staff is exceeding that. In doing that, though, we are able to decrease the budget by $16,000. So the long and the short of it is the budget that we're proposing is $10,773,128, which is 3.3% over last year's budget, or a $327,501 increase. I don't want to be gypped off that one.
I don't think we have to walk through each slide except to say we have them.
I think just to briefly, I'll kind of tell you what I see on these slides, because I think it's good to know. You can see our costs. The blue is actual, the orange is the current year budget, and the yellow is the future budget. And you can see that our increases are where you would expect or hope or want them to be. And this is in instruction, in student support, and in fiscal and technology. And I will tell you it's technology, not fiscal. And this is just kind of putting the numbers to it. And so when you want to know, well, where will we be spending this additional 3%? You can see that instruction is going to take up 1.2% of that, student support services another 0.5, instructional staff support 0.66. So collectively, they're picking up those departments, again, where we want to spend our money, are picking up the majority of that increase. And this kind of looks at it in a similar fashion, and that is, what are we buying with our money? What is the object? And so the first column and the second column are all employees, staff, and benefits. So same thing, you can see that's where our money is. And then you can also see under the fourth column over there, fifth column over there, tuition, communications. That is both technology, but it's also those out-of-district placements, and those, of course, are also very staff-dependent.
Same.
Same thing, only it's telling you again that of the 3%, ooh, that's weird. That 3.14 doesn't make sense. But just under 1% is going to staff, and then you can see 3% is going to communications and tuitions. And that's the increase of the extra 3 students and the investment in technology. In pie format, and just a reminder of the office makeup, you know, the number of staff in each of them. And one of the things that we did want to bring your attention to on this slide is what we've budgeted for board resources, and we have level funded them. So what that includes is $5,000 for board training. It includes $28,000 for negotiations. I'm hopeful that maybe we won't need that much if we could get multi-year contracts, but it's too early to tell. It also includes your board honorarium, which is level funded. And just to remind you what that is it's $600 per person and $100 additional for the chair. So if you'd like to make any changes to that, you know, speak now and we'd be happy to incorporate them. Jean talked a little bit about this. This is just a detailed list of those services that are really not included in this budget, but are paid for and managed at the central office and then billed back. So facility management, some shared staff, some shared transportation that's not to and from school. And just a reminder that assessments will come out in December, and that once we know the revenues, we'll be able to do the assessment. The revenues will come out in mid-December. Once we know the revenues, we'll be able to do the assessments, and we will use the Agency of Education's final 2021 version of the equalized pupil count. They've not been able to finalize that. Last year's wasn't finalized until May. And obviously we can't wait for that. So we use the version as of December 31st. This slide is exactly the same slide as last year, and it's just to remind you of the resources that we've received for COVID-19 support services. Again, it's exactly the same as last year, but if you go to the next slide, you'll see these are the new resources. And the first 2, you can see with a little asterisk that the ARPA, ESSERS 2 and ESSER 3 has a detailed plan on the Rutland Northeast website that explains where the funds are going and how much we're getting. And I believe Kristen is actually holding a virtual sort of meeting to go over that later this week or next week.
Right
Next
after
week.
Thanksgiving, November
Okay.
29th, I think she said.
Okay. We've talked before about the Idea B funds, and the number 3 on the list, about 121 plus the $8,600 for IDEA ESSER funds. Those amounts we are hoping to use for facility renovations, for special education services, staff, and EEE programs. And then we also have a little pot of money for homeless. The Agency of Education's grant isn't opened yet, and the rules of spending are not yet open, but we will access that, almost $16,000. And thanks to Nancy Bird, she accessed another almost $53,000 in after-school and childcare COVID-related funds that have been able to support our summer and programs from April until December.
So I don't know if there are any questions. I will also email out the details sheet, but I don't know if there are any questions as people think about this towards next month. Obviously, you might not know all of your questions tonight, and we invite you to send them in. Oh, I guess I
I
can.
can't see everybody. so
That's
I have
right,
no
you can't
idea.
see anybody. Oh, Brenda has a question.
Yep.
We can't hear you.
Question I've been wondering about can you hear me?
Yes.
On the ESSER funds, there must be quite a bit of coordination and federal reporting requirements involved with that, or is current staff just absorbing all that work, or
Yes.
are you including extra support for the administrative staff to tackle all that?
Do you see
And
my?
I've worked with federal grants before, and their reporting is sometimes pretty onerous.
Yeah, it is absolutely onerous, absolutely. Kristen and I are both pulling out our hair, but we're absorbing it. It is onerous. They want us to report it in multiple different fashions. They want us to report it in, not just the expenses, but how you're spending it, and then they've dictated, kind of what pillar of the intention of the monies are. And then just the actual procurement on a federal expense is about triple the amount of work as a regular standard procurement.
Well, under the ESSER terms, will they let you use some of those funds to compensate staff for the management of the
They would,
and reporting?
they would. It would be eligible for it.
However, we've really prioritized student services. We actually haven't put money in that direction.
But you may need to put some mental health services in for Kristen and I.
And Jess.
And
That's what Jess
Jess,
said.
and Pam, and Marcia soon, and
A
Steve,
spa trip would be nice, a nice start.
and Steve. Yeah, no, we've been absorbing it, but thank you, it's a lot more work for that extra money. It's worth it, don't get me wrong, but it is onerous.
Other questions? Well, I want to thank you both and everybody else who put together this budget. It's nice to see it come in only at 3.3%, 3.03%. I think we probably will look it over, and really our questions will come at our next meeting where we have to approve it.
Right, and like I said, I will email you the detail. It's hard
Okay.
to do that in the middle of the meeting, but I'll get it to you tonight.
Great. Thank you very much for that.
Okay?
And thank you all for being here to answer any questions. I appreciate it. So at this time, it's time for executive session. So I can say goodnight to everybody who doesn't need to be here. So thank you for being here with us.